Boo fam, peace and blessings. This is Derric RauKhu. And in this video, I want to actually talk about, are ghosts real? Now, part of the reason why I wanted to do this video is mainly because I've been getting hit up in my email. People asking questions, are ghosts real? Part of the reason why they're asking these questions is mainly because there's still some apprehension in regards to actually working with the ancestors, working with your spirit guides or whatever. So again, that makes sense. This is the reason why people are basically asking this question. Now, first of all, before I actually explain, or before I actually say, are ghosts real, or explain if ghosts are real, I wanted to first of all mention that if you are involved in any kind of spiritual practice, if you're involved in spiritual practice or any kind of magical practice in which you're activating your third eye, what's actually taking place is if you're activating your third eye gives you clarity to your visions, it gives you clarity to your imagination. And a lot of times, if you're activating your third eye, you see all these different little shadowy figures out the corner of your eye. And this is what is called in Spanish, celejas. Celejas is spelled C-E-L-A-J-E, And shout out to my wife for actually teaching me about this. But basically, that's what it is. Okay, celejas are, like I said, if you're seeing these little shadowy figures or anything, for the most part, most people, this is what they're doing. They're experiencing, which is really just kind of like a vision, kind of like a vision distraction or vision distortion. All right, and there's nothing to be worried. There's nothing basically to worry about. The same thing. In addition to celejas, if you're activating your third eye, you might also hear that you might also have tinnitus. That's that ringing in the ear. And just like tinnitus, there's not a whole lot you can really do if you're starting to see these little shadowy figures out the corner of your eye. Okay. Now, like I said, most of the time, that's what most people are experiencing. It's just basically a vision distortion, just like tinnitus. You're sensing things, or because you're developing muscles that you really, for the most part, have not used. Okay. Now, if you are still seeing little shadowy figures, and it causes you to, how do you put it? It causes like an emotional thing to take place. For instance, your hair is, you can feel your hair actually standing up. All right. This right here is most likely a ghost or some other kind of apparition. Right. Now, so to answer the question, are ghosts real? Yes, ghosts are real. Okay. Now, but the thing about ghosts is that for the most part, ghosts don't really come around you. They don't really come around people. They interact, or they go, pass through, pass by us and all that kind of stuff. But they don't really hang around people, I should say, unless you are actually dealing with some low energy things. Okay, if you're dealing with some low energy things, some low energy activities or so, which is basically going to contribute to you having a, kind of like low belief systems and what have you, then for the most part, ghosts, they don't really stick around. Okay. Now, I'll give you an example of what I mean by this. Okay. I remember when I first started dealing with, when I really got serious into, honoring my ancestors and working with my spirit guides. Before I was working with them, I was, I was kind of, honoring them, all that kind of stuff. But I wasn't really like serious like I am now. So in the process of actually honoring them, I used to, for the most part, used to still watch horror movies and all that kind of stuff. When I started really working with my ancestors, I noticed that I lost interest in watching those type of movies. Okay. Now, the more I lost interest in watching those type of movies, horror movies, because I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, that's totally BS. That's not how ancestors or spirits work. So when I started watching these movies, and the more and more I stopped watching these movies, it was like the higher my vibration became. All right. So when I'm saying, ghosts, they only basically come around if you're dealing with that low vibrational energy things. That's what I mean. And movies can be one of the things. If you're dealing with, if you're struggling with any kind of substance abuse or so, that can also be one of the features or one of the things that will actually cause them to hang around you. Okay. But this is the reason why you engage or you involve yourself in a spiritual practice, in a spiritual tradition. If you're working with a spiritual practice or a spiritual tradition, or you're working on trying to develop yourself spiritually, then for the most part, most ghosts, they're not going to interact with you, okay? Because dealing with a spiritual tradition or dealing with a spiritual practice, that is a very high vibrational thing, okay? So I hope that makes sense. Hope that clears up a little bit of confusion. As always, thank you for your support. If you got any questions, drop me a line. Thank you. That's a book.